Yellowstone County, there was once a plan to build the first garden city in the United States. The municipality never really got off the ground, but it is an interesting tale. In Billings, MTN's Chris DeRose has more about the community known as Mossmain.
Over 100 years ago, there was to be a sprawling city built between Laurel and Billings that would intertwine rural and urban living. It was called Mossmain, and this western utopia was the brainchild of one of Billings' most prominent residents and business owners, P.B. Moss. The story of this dream city lies in the archives of the historic Moss Mansion. Allie Turner, who works for the mansion, walks me back in time.
Mossmain was P.B. Moss's idea of what we call a garden city. So a garden city is that all the social aspects of a city, churches, schools, businesses, sit in the center, and then surrounding the city would be farms where people work. And so this would give access to farmers to still have social lives and still be able to partake in the community without being so far away.
Moss thought that this type of city would be perfect here in Montana and could grow to over 100,000 residents if done right. Looking at the original blueprints of the city, it's clear that Moss and his architect Walter Burley Griffin had thought of everything, from a developed city center complete with a rail station to large plots for farms, parks, and gardens. The big question is, when everything got put in motion for Mossmain, why did it all fall apart?
So there could be many reasons. We think the biggest reason is partially the Great Depression came in, so people didn't have the money to invest anymore. Second, the railroads didn't come through like he thought that they would. So I always say that if it had been 10 years later, it probably would have been extremely successful. But because of the time period that it was in, it just didn't go as he thought, and so it kind of just went by the wayside eventually.
Though the city was never realized, ironically, it still has a small footprint. Is it on the map?
Yes, it's on Google Maps. If you Google Mossmain, it doesn't come up, but you can see it. If you kind of Google Laurel, the Laurel area, it's right next to the drive-in movie theater. And it's labeled as a ghost town, technically now.
Though any remnants of a garden city are now gone, the road leading to the drive-in theater and the industrial park still bears the name of the town. And though the project didn't live on, the legacy of its developer certainly has.
I think you could say that Mossmain's legacy was PB, or this idea that we can always continue to build a better future, because that was PB's idea, is he wanted to build something better for people so they could have a better way of living. And that was his idea for everything he did, really.
Reporting from what could have been America's Garden City, Chris DeRose, MTN News.